It was 2012. The world was buzzing with excitement and anticipation. The music scene was dominated by one name that echoed across continents and generations. Justin Bieber, the world-famous pop star, was at the height of his fame. Millions adored him. His concerts were sold out, his songs topped the charts, and his face was plastered on every magazine cover. He was living the dream, a dream that many young artists aspired to. But in the shadows, a sinister plot was brewing. Away from the glitz and glamour, in the dark corners of society, danger was lurking. A plan was being hatched, one that would shock the world and send ripples through the music industry. A plan so twisted, so evil, it sent chills down the spines of those who knew about it. Whispers of this plot spread like wildfire, creating an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. It was a scheme that defied logic and morality. This wasn't about money or revenge. It wasn't a typical crime driven by greed or vendetta. No, this was something far more disturbing. It was about a dangerous obsession, an unhealthy fixation that had spiraled out of control. This was about a dangerous obsession, one that would lead to a terrifying plan to kidnap, mutilate, and kill the target, Justin Bieber. The pop star, who was adored by millions, had unknowingly become the focus of a deranged mind. The mastermind, a convicted murderer named Dana Martin. From behind bars, Martin orchestrated a plan so gruesome it seemed like something out of a horror movie. His criminal past was filled with violence and malice, but this plot was his most audacious yet. His motive, a chilling cocktail of envy, obsession, and a desire for infamy. Martin's fixation on Bieber was not just about admiration. It was a dark, twisted desire to possess and destroy. His envy turned into a deadly obsession, one that he was willing to act upon. This is the story of the plot against Justin Bieber, a tale of fandom gone wrong, and the terrifying reality of what happens when obsession turns deadly. It serves as a grim reminder of the thin line between admiration and obsession, and the dark paths that some are willing to take. Dana Martin was no ordinary criminal. His name became synonymous with a darkness that few could comprehend. He was a man consumed by his dark desires, a predator lurking in the shadows of society. Serving 2 life sentences for the brutal rape and murder of 15-year-old Deandra Florucci, Martin's life was defined by violence and depravity. His crimes shocked the nation, leaving a trail of grief and horror in their wake. Behind bars, his thoughts took a sinister turn. The confines of his cell did nothing to quell his dark fantasies. Instead, they seemed to amplify them. He became fixated on Justin Bieber, the young pop star who seemed to have it all. To Martin, Bieber represented everything he could never be: youthful, adored, and free. Martin's obsession with Bieber bordered on the delusional. He began to see the pop star as a symbol of his own lost innocence and unfulfilled desires. He covered his cell walls with Bieber posters, creating a shrine to the young star. Each poster was a window into a world he could never touch. He even went so far as to get a tattoo of Bieber on his leg, a permanent reminder of his twisted fascination. The ink on his skin was a testament to his obsession, a mark of his deranged devotion. Martin wrote letters to Bieber, pouring out his admiration, but his letters went unanswered. Each letter was a desperate plea for recognition, a cry from the depths of his darkened soul. This rejection fueled Martin's rage, twisting his admiration into something far more sinister. His love turned to hatred, and his fantasies grew darker, more violent. The silence from Bieber was a constant reminder of his own insignificance, driving him deeper into his madness. Isolated in his cell, Martin hatched a plan. He would reach out to Bieber, but not with words. He would make Bieber know his name through a horrific act of violence. To carry out his plan, Martin needed accomplices on the outside. He set his sights on Mark Stock, a man he had met in prison, and Stake's nephew, Tanner Ruane. Martin promised them a hefty reward, using the promise of money and a share of the notoriety to lure them in. He shared his twisted fantasy, his desire to make Bieber suffer. Stake and Ruane, blinded by greed and drawn in by Martin's manipulative charm, agreed to help him carry out his plan. The plan was as meticulous as it was horrifying. Stake and Ruane would kidnap Bieber after one of his concerts at Madison Square Garden. They would use paisley neckties, Martin's chilling signature from his previous crimes, to strangle Bieber and his bodyguard. Then, in a final act of depravity, they would castrate Bieber with a pair of garden shears, a detail that made even the most hardened investigators shudder. Ruane was promised $2,500 for each testicle. To avoid immediate suspicion, they were to kill a couple in Vermont before making their way to New York. The plan was set in motion, and a dark cloud hung over Bieber's unsuspecting world. A wrong turn. The plot unravels. On November 19, 2012, fate intervened. It was a cold, crisp morning and the city was just beginning to wake up. The streets were quiet, and the air was filled with the promise of a new day. Little did anyone know, this day would mark the beginning of the end for a sinister plot that had been brewing in the shadows. Stock and Ruane, driving a car packed with the tools of their gruesome plan, mistakenly crossed the border into Canada. They had been so focused on their mission that they failed to realize they had taken a wrong turn. The border checkpoint loomed ahead and there was no turning back. The tension in the car was palpable as they approached the checkpoint, their minds racing with the possibilities of what could go wrong. Their vehicle was searched, and the horrifying truth was revealed. The paisley ties, the garden shears, and other incriminating items were discovered. The officers at the checkpoint were taken aback by the sheer audacity and brutality of the plan that was unfolding before their eyes. It was clear that this was no ordinary traffic stop. They had stumbled upon something far more sinister. All the evidence pointed to a plot too gruesome to ignore. The garden shears in particular were a chilling reminder of the violence that was intended. The officers meticulously catalogued each piece of evidence, knowing that they were piecing together a puzzle that would reveal a dark and twisted narrative. Unbeknownst to Stake and Ruane, Martin, seeking to elevate his status within the prison walls, had confided in a fellow inmate about the plot. This inmate, intrigued by the story and sensing an opportunity, listened intently. The prison walls have ears, and secrets are a valuable currency in such an environment. This inmate, realizing the gravity of the situation, informed the authorities. He knew that this information could be his ticket to a reduced sentence or other favors from the prison administration. The authorities, upon hearing the details, were quick to act, understanding the urgency and potential danger of the situation. Sergeant Edgar Pignon, the officer assigned to the case, was shocked by the level of detail and depravity in the plan. He had seen many things in his career, but this was something else entirely. The meticulous planning, the cold-blooded intent, and the sheer brutality of the plot were enough to send chills down his spine. He immediately contacted the authorities in Canada, leading to the arrest of Stock and Ruane. The swift action of the officers on both sides of the border ensured that a potential tragedy was averted. The plot had unraveled, and justice was set in motion, thanks to a series of fortunate events and the vigilance of those involved. Justice served, the price of obsession. The arrest of Stock and Ruane sent shockwaves through the media. The world watched in horror as the details of the plot unfolded. Martin, Stake, and Ruane were all charged for their roles in the conspiracy. In 2014, Ruane was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder. A year later, Stake was found guilty on 2 counts of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison. Martin, the mastermind behind the plot, pled guilty to criminal solicitation to commit first-degree murder. He was moved to maximum security in 2013, his twisted fantasy costing him any chance of freedom. The dark side of fame, when admiration turns deadly. The plot against Justin Bieber was a stark reminder of the dark side of fame. It showed how easily admiration could twist into obsession, and how the line between fandom and dangerous fixation could be blurred. Bieber, who was just 18 at the time, was left shaken by the experience. The incident forced him to confront the vulnerability that came with his celebrity status. It served as a chilling reminder that no amount of fame or fortune could protect someone from the darkness that lurked in the hearts of others. The aftermath, Bieber's life after the plot. In the years following the plot, Bieber took steps to increase his security. The incident undoubtedly left a scar, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the lengths to which some would go to get close to, or harm, a celebrity. Despite the trauma, Bieber continued to make music and perform. He used his platform to speak out against violence and to advocate for mental health awareness. The chilling plot against him became a part of his story, a reminder of the importance of security and the ever-present dangers of fame. A reminder and a warning. The importance of vigilance. The chilling plot against Justin Bieber serves as both a reminder and a warning. It reminds us that even those who seem untouchable are vulnerable to the darkness that exists in the world. It warns us of the dangers of unchecked obsession and the importance of recognizing the signs of potentially dangerous behavior. This story is not just about a celebrity and his brush with danger. It's about the fine line between admiration and obsession, and the importance of remaining vigilant in a world where darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places.